In today's video, I am going to be tier ranking all of the matches from last year's WrestleMania 41. Now, of course, if you guys do not remember, because I did this last year, kind of want to make this sort of a, I want to say yearly thing, but sort of a thing I will probably do maybe every year or so on the road to WrestleMania, which is, of course, what we are on, which of course is where we're at right now. We're on the road to WrestleMania 42. I did this last year, like I said before. Of course, this was early on of me starting the channel, but if you guys have never seen that video, I'll definitely leave it in the description below. The link to that if you guys want to go check it out. It wasn't like different WrestleMania matches, it was just the WrestleMania matches from WrestleMania 40. So I decided why not do the same thing from last year's WrestleMania. Now, to be honest with you, I will try my best to remember some of these matches. I really have not rewatched WrestleMania 41 since like last year when it like first happened, which I probably should have done that before I did this video, but I think I can have a good enough memory to remember what happens in some of these matches. Now, overall, WrestleMania 41, the two nights combined, it wasn't really that great of a WrestleMania, you know. It kind of, there was hype in some points, but you kind of look back at this card and it's like kind of questionable of some of these matches even happening on WrestleMania, on a WrestleMania show. So definitely it definitely is an interesting WrestleMania. It's definitely an interesting WrestleMania. But of course, like I said before, I did this last year mostly with WrestleMania 40. Now we're doing it with WrestleMania 41. We're going to go through both nights. So both nights we're going to kind of go in order, which thankfully to the tier list that I was able to find has them in order from every match that happened, especially all the way to the main events. So yeah, before we get into the video, to not make this intro any much longer, if you guys are new to the BrewCrew channel or haven't yet here on the BrewCrew channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the BrewCrew channel. Of course, I do wrestling content like this, and I do football content as well, so definitely do... Well, excuse me, so definitely do that. I did say before, I did a tier list like this for WrestleMania 40 as we were on the road to this WrestleMania 41. If you guys want to go check out that video, link to that video will be in the description below, so definitely go check it out. Now, with that being said, let's, of course, go through this tier list, which, of course, is the normal tier list, S, A, B, C, D, and F. I'm not really going to change the names or anything, just typical. I'll try to pop it on the screen. Kind of wanted to kind of change that a little bit with the tier list. Of course, my previous tier list, I sort of did that. So hopefully, I will go ahead and pop it up. Hopefully, I went ahead and popped it up. But you'll see, of course, my face in the corner. This was the last time I did how I did it the last time that I did a tier list. So if you guys can see the tier list I'm looking at right now on my monitor, you see below the matches. So let's, of course, go through the matches. Let's go ahead and go into it. Now, nothing really, of course, of what would make me feel this way. Of course, we'll let you guys know why I would have them in this tier list. So let's go ahead and actually get into the tier list. Like it's too much longer. I keep going off too much. But we're going to go ahead and start off with the first match that started off everything. That, of course, is the World Heavyweight Championship match with Gunther, the champion, versus the then Royal Rumble winner, Jey Uso. Now, of course, we know the build-up hype going into this match was not that great. Of course, there's the mixed reactions of Jey Uso and however you feel about Jey Uso. I do love Jey Uso. Of course, I really don't care what people think about him being in the ring. I do enjoy him, and of course, this was a really big moment. But the match overall itself, it honestly was not one of the worst of the whole show or the whole night. It kind of was a good idea for them to start off with this match because of the moment with Jey Uso winning the World Championship and all that, but I don't know. But really, again, like I said before, match was not that bad. The build-up to the match was, but honestly, it's not a bad match. It's not a great match. It was an okay match. It's definitely possibly one of their better matches in the random, not so great rivalry between Jey and Gunther. But for our first match of the tier list. I think, like, of course, what I just said before of it not being good, not being great, or not being great, not being bad, I'm going to go ahead and plant it in the middle and around C tier. Again, the match was not that bad. I think the match was definitely better of their rivalry. But, of course, there's a lot of other opinions on this match. But to go ahead and quickly get past it, because we're wasting too much, not wasting, but just kind of taking too long on this first match, C tier is where Gunther and Jey Uso lands. Now, the next match is, of course, the Raw, I was going to say the Raw Tag titles, the World Tag Team Championships on the line, the Viking Raiders versus the new-heeled New Day, heel turned New Day. Now, honestly, this was a match that, like, really they decided to do over them doing some sort of big multi-tag team match for the SmackDown ones. And really, in my honest opinion, I don't remember much from this match. This was a full-fledged sleeper match. This match really looked like something they could have done on Raw. I'm tempted to put it in F tier because it definitely was bad, but I don't know. I want to put it in D tier, but I don't want to do that because I feel like it's much worser. But then again, I have not watched this show in quite some time. But this match was definitely not that good, and so just for that, really, I think the final choice, I think I'm going to put it in F tier. I want to put it in D because, of course, it's nothing against the two teams. Both teams are great, and the match was probably pretty okay. Possibly a lot of fans, I remember seeing a lot of fans saying they could have had it was mostly a match they could have had on Monday Night Raw, but they decided to have it at WrestleMania. So, sadly enough, again, no disrespect to the two teams, the match goes in F tier. Now, the next match is the first ever women's one-on-one non-title match, which that was pretty shocking that I heard that, between Naomi and Jade Cargill. Of course, the rivalry between the two, of course, Naomi sort of turning heel, being the one who attacked Jade back, of course, on the road to War Games, having Jade be out. And honestly enough, these two had a really good, solid match, and honestly, it was way much better than the World Heavyweight title match. So honestly enough, it was a great match between the two. Jade, of course, came out with the win. I think it actually was shorter, but it just felt a little better. I don't know if I want to put it in B tier, but I might put it just in C tier as a high C. It probably could get close to B tier, but I think I'm going to place it in a high C tier over Jey and Gunther. But let me know you guys' thoughts. Let me know your guys' thoughts with all these matches that I'm going to do. But C tier for Jade versus Naomi. Now, the next match was the United States Championship match between LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. Now, of course, looking back at it, especially going into it, was sort of a random, just one-on-one match that they put together. But honestly enough, even though it was a random build between the two, they pulled off probably an underrated match between these two. And honestly enough, this could be another match I would put in C tier. But honestly, like, just thinking, like, remembering back of how this match was way much better. And honestly, I put it in B tier. I put it in B tier. Of course, there was the big moment of, like, of course it wasn't pretty. The crazy moment of LA Knight intercepting the the finishing moonsault into the BFT. That was a crazy moment. There was other pretty cool spots, and this match was honestly pretty solid and definitely an underrated match on this show. So I would put this in B tier. Now, the next match, of course, kind of a crazy one though. Of course, the original, now called the original El Grande Americano, but he was just called the El Grande Americano. Was technically supposed to face off against Rey Mysterio, but sadly Rey Mysterio, I believe it was literally the SmackDown before WrestleMania, he gets himself injured. So the man to replace him, which was announced, I believe, on the kickoff show, just like hours before the show started, Rey Fenix, the newly signed Rey Fenix, he was newly signed like a few weeks prior to this, instantly gets his first WrestleMania match against El Grande Americano. And honestly, the match was pretty solid. I wouldn't say D tier. I honestly don't think it would eke into C tier. or eke into B tier, I should say. But I mean, it was a great moment for Phoenix getting his first WrestleMania match. El Grande came out with the win. But honestly, match of course was pretty okay, pretty solid. But honestly, it lands it in C tier. Now the next match is I want to kind of say is probably going to be controversial. The first time ever dream match, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair, the Women's Royal Rumble winner. Of course, both Rumble winners had their matches on night one, which of course makes this, which makes this WrestleMania sort of controversial and not great because you have both of your Rumble winners on the same night. So it's like, yeah. Whoa, excuse me. So sorry about that. What was I about to say? Oh, so pretty controversial because I remember, I don't know, it just didn't really live up to expectations for me personally. I saw a lot of people say, "Oh my goodness, this was a classic, a WrestleMania classic, beautiful match." To me, honestly, I didn't really, I don't want to say I cared for it. I like even remembering like when I was first watching it, I was just like, I just felt like so much stuff was happening and I don't want to say they were messing up on stuff, but it was just like, and honestly enough, like maybe, yeah, the match wasn't that great, was great, or was pretty good, but I just want to say this is probably going to be controversial because, like, you would think, oh, I would put it in C tier. Honestly, I put this in D. I put this in D tier because I don't know. The match just, I mean, again, like I said before, my personal opinion, I don't think it lived up to the expectations that, like, and honestly, the build, like, it kind of became, I mean, it was kind of one of those matches where, like, the match was definitely better than the build up, but, I mean, even the match didn't really live up to the build that whatever the build up this match was going to come up to. So I know it's probably controversial. You guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, but Tiffany and Charlotte, I mean, both great top stars in the women's division, but sadly, I'd put them in D tier. I don't want to say the match was a sleeper match, but like it was definitely a match that just like I don't know, it felt slow. It felt a lot of stuff they just I don't want to say kept messing up or kept getting wrong, but again, to not make this on this part much longer, Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte Flair, D tier. But hopefully we go from a low to a high with this one as we end off night one with the night one main event, the triple threat match between Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. And just to go ahead and say this was definitely one of my favorite matches, just kind of the whole nights of the both nights put together. This was the best match of both nights put together. One of my favorite matches of the year last year. Kind of, it was like my top 3, top 5 matches of the year last year. And it was an interesting build-up. CM Punk gets his first WrestleMania main event. And we're about to see him and Roman main event again this time for this WrestleMania. Of course, no title was on the line. Of course, we had the great ending of Seth Rollins aligning himself with Paul, who betrayed not only CM Punk, but also Roman Reigns. Of course, we know the story and all that throughout the year kind of got a little bit too crazy, but honestly enough to go ahead and say this is S tier. This is by far S tier. This will probably be one of two, spoiler ahead, of 2 matches on this show that are S tier, but this right here, S tier, possibly will go down as probably one of the best WrestleMania main events in the history of the show. So S tier for sure for this match. Now, not only do we end night 1 with a triple threat match, and we now come to night 2. Night 2 starts off with a triple threat match. The triple threat match for the Women's World Championship with Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley. Io Sky as champion. And honestly, we go back-to-back S-tier matches. Now, just, of course, it's amazing chemistry, not only with Io and Rhea, just amazing chemistry with all 3 women. Amazing opening match. Definitely is going to be up there as one of the best opening matches in WrestleMania history. Especially triple threat wise, especially up there with Miz, Finn, and Seth. If you guys remember that triple threat match from WrestleMania 34. But again, all in all, really great match, great chemistry with all 3 women. Io coming out on top. on top, retaining her championship. With, of course, it was a really good build as well. If you guys remember, Rhea was the champion after Chamber. She loses it to Io, and then it sets up a triple threat with, of course, Bianca. Of course, she won the Elimination Chamber and everything else, if you guys remember, and all that. But again, S tier for this match, back-to-back S tiers, and possibly, sadly, are the only S tier matches for this show. And now the reason why I say that is probably because, honestly, this one might be a little bit higher than probably most, but it's actually high for me because I honestly enjoyed it and liked it. That is the street fight match between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. Now, of course, I know it was a long rivalry between Priest and McIntyre, but of course ended up finishing at WrestleMania, and honestly was a great match. Was a really great match, really great street fight, had really a lot of great moments, and honestly, it might shock a lot of people where I would rank this. I would probably rank it in B tier with Fatu and LA Knight, maybe high B, but with just how much I liked it, it actually ekes enough for me to put it in A tier. I know that probably is shocking, but there was definitely a lot of great moments. It was a really good street fight, and it was definitely a perfect way for these two to end their rivalry. Of course, McIntyre came out on top. I thought Priest was going to come out on top to get him a big WrestleMania win, but Drew McIntyre getting the win ended the rivalry between the two. Great street fight. I put it in A tier. Now we're going to continue on a positive note with the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental Championship match featuring the champion Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. Now, of course, we know the whole thing with Finn and Dominic happening right now, but this honestly also lands in A tier, as this was definitely a really great Fatal 4-Way match. Trying to get in front of Priest and McIntyre. It was definitely better than Priest and McIntyre in A tier, but it definitely lived up to the great expectations of it being a really great Fatal 4-Way match. Of course, the outcome remained the same as a lot of fans predicted. Dom winning, getting his WrestleMania moment, winning his first big main roster singles title at WrestleMania, getting his WrestleMania moments, doing an encore to the crowd, and all that. So yeah, it was a great moment. It was a really great match, and A tier is where I would place it. So yeah, so another positive in A tier. However, though, these next few matches I wouldn't say low points, but kind of go down a little bit for the rest of this night. Now, first starting us off was, of course, supposed to be the match between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, but Kevin Owens was dealing with an injury. The match had to be scrapped, and, of course, Randy Orton ended up just making it an open challenge, and who ended up answering it? None other than the current, at that time, TNA champion. He is the current NXT champion, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry becoming the first TNA champion, TNA superstar as well, to wrestle, signed TNA superstar, to wrestle at WrestleMania. It was a big moment for him. It was a big moment for TNA. Now, we know the match was kind of short and all that, so, I mean, honestly, where would I even rank this? Because the match was short. There was the RKO out of nowhere after Joe Hendry did his turnaround thing that he always does. And of course, it was Randy Orton's 20th WrestleMania. He had the great attire, which was, of course, an homage to the attire he wore at his first ever match he wrestled in WWE. So that was a pretty cool thing. I kind of would say F tier because of just how short it was, but honestly, just because it's. I know this will probably be controversial if you're fans of the tag team match that I have in F tier. I'm going to place it in D tier because I just don't know. I feel bad putting it in F tier because it's more memorable than the tag team title match. So, honestly enough, I would put it in D tier. I'm not going to put it over Tiffany and Flair. The match was, of course, longer and a little bit better, but I'm going to put this match in D tier even though it was short and it was just Randy Orton, RKO, and Joe Hendry. Now, this next match is pretty hard to rank because it's sad to now, of course, think about it, that, of course, this was AJ Styles' last match ever at WrestleMania. That was, of course, the match between him and Logan Paul. I wanted him to win this, but, of course, they had to continue the freaking Karrion Kross storyline thing with Karrion Kross getting involved. And then Logan Paul coming out on top. I don't remember much from the match as well. So, like, the stuff that I remember, I think the match was decent enough. I don't think it was bad enough to be in D tier, but I think it was decent enough to at least be in C tier. Okay, I'll put it right there in between that. I don't know if I would say greater. Actually, no, yeah, move that. I don't think I would say greater than the Americano and Phoenix match. I think that was maybe a little bit better, but I mean, we can probably switch those two around. I don't know. Maybe you can put Gunther and Jay at the bottom of C tier. I'm moving stuff around already, but anyway, I don't know. You can move wherever you want. Just stay where you are. I don't know. You guys can make it as well. I'll leave a link to this tier list if you guys want to make it yourselves. I usually do that for my tier list, for the tier list that I do. But anyway, C tier is where I would land this. Kind of wish no, he should not have lost, now knowing that this was his final WrestleMania match against Logan frickin' Paul. But C tier is where the match would go. Now the next match is probably the continuation of C tier, but might honestly go in B tier, because I think the match was actually pretty good. I'm saying think, so I'm so sorry if, like, these are kind of crazy tier rankings, because, of course, I don't remember much from some of these matches. That, of course, was technically the co-main event of Night 2. The women's tag team titles, who the champions at the time was Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. They were supposed to defend against Bayley and Lyra, but Bayley got attacked from behind and got injured by a mysterious person. Becky Lynch returns, teams up with Lyra. There's, of course, history between the two. I would say I think the match was pretty solid, and I'm probably just doing this because I kind of want to put more matches in B tier besides just LA Knight and Fatu. But I think it was a pretty good women's tag team match. It was just big names, of course, with Becky Lynch's return. Them two going on to win the titles. I'm going to put it in B tier just for that. It could land in C tier if I go back and watch or something. Again, I'm so sorry if I probably should have done that, but it is what it is at this point. It just is what it is at this point. B tier is where I would play this. Of course, there's the whole situation after as well, but I'm not going to get too much in that. But again, B tier is where this would go. Now, I think this final match is in the same situation as as AJ Styles and Logan Paul, because it was an historic match with the historic turn. Now, of course, the match I'm talking about is the main event of Night 2, Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Now, in my honest opinion, it's the same situation with Tiffany and Flair. There was a lot of hype. Honestly, there was not a lot of hype with Tiffany and Charlotte, but there was a lot of hype going into this match. Because, of course, Cena had the heel turn, and in my honest opinion, I think this match really was probably more underwhelming than Tiffany and Charlotte, but I would probably put it higher than Tiffany and Charlotte. Probably already spoiled of what tier I'm going to put it in. But it's just, in my honest opinion, like, even though, yes, we got the moment of him winning 17 in his final WrestleMania match, it was a great moment at the end, but I didn't feel that way at the end, even with him being a heel, if you know what I mean. It's just, throughout the match, it was just like, And then, kind of like, every fan was like this. I was seeing this online, especially after the show. Once Travis Scott came out, because if you don't remember, Travis Scott and The Rock and him, John Cena, were supposed to be like in a unit or something. And then you were like, okay, is someone going to come out and help Cody? And then is The Rock going to try to get involved somehow if, like, Travis Scott gets knocked out? No. Just Travis Scott comes out, gets involved a little bit, distracts Cody long enough for John Cena to hit Cody with the title or something, and that's how John Cena wins. Honestly enough, to not make this video much longer, because it's pretty longer than I probably should have wanted it to be, but I kind of took a while on some of these matches talking about them. This match really underwhelmed me, and if you kind of go ahead and see that I moved it, I place it in D tier. And it's sad and shocking for me to even do that with two names like Cody Rhodes and John Cena. But the match, just, I mean, even thinking about it and thinking about when I was first watching it, I just don't know. Like, and then, of course, like, when Travis Scott came, I was like, okay, we're getting interesting now. It did not get any more interesting, and, like, I don't want to say it's one of the worst WrestleMania main events. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the most underwhelming. Even though with the ending of like, oh, John Cena just won 17. I don't know. I didn't have that feeling, even with him being a heel. I didn't have that feeling of like, oh my gosh, John Cena finally did it. He finally won 17. I just didn't feel that way. And I constantly couldn't feel that way during the match. And I think if I do go back and rewatch it, maybe I would have a different feeling about it. But I just didn't. And I still kind of don't. So to not make this video much longer and not be too much longer on this one, like of course I was with Tiffany and Flair. D tier, as you guys probably saw that I did it. D tier as well, I have it, is where I have it. And so yeah. That is all the matches that we have to kind of run by real quick. F tier, the only match in F tier is the World Tag Team titles of the Viking Raiders and the New Day. D tier has Cody and Cena, Tiffany and Flair, and of course the Open Challenge Randy Orton Joe Hendry match. C tier has Jade and Naomi, Gunther and Jay, El Grande Americano and Rey Fenix, and AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. B tier has the two matches of LA Knight and Fatu, and the women's tag team title match, Lyra and Becky versus Raquel and Liv. A tier has two matches as well, with the Fatal 4-Way Intercontinental title match and the street fight between Priest and McIntyre. And of course, S tier, the two triple threat matches, Punk, Rollins, and Roman. And then of course, Io, Rhea, and Bianca, and the other one for the women's world title. So that of course is all the matches, kind of quickly running through them and all that. So gosh, so sorry. So of course, I gotta unshare my screen, which is what I was doing with that. Back to just full screen right here. Kind of long with this tier list, so yeah. But of course, there was just a lot to say, and of course, there was a lot of matches to go through. There's a lot to say to talk about some of these matches. If you guys want to go watch, or want to check out the other tier list that I did for the WrestleMania 40 matches, definitely go check it out. Link to that will be in the description. Link to this tier list will be in the description below if you guys want to go check it out and do your own tier list or anything like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know if you would move any matches. Let me know your thoughts on that and on the matches that I had in these certain tiers and all that. So yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts. Let me know everything else, just anything. Just let me know that. If you made it all this way to the point of the video, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, you guys know as always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell for future upcoming videos here on the BrewCrew channel. And so yeah, trying to think if there was anything else to say. Of course, with WrestleMania upcoming, try to do some more WrestleMania content stuff and all that, hopefully coming out soon. Of course, make sure you guys do all that stuff that I said before. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have an amazing, wonderful day. And as always, I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.